to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start with public comment period. Obviously, not a lot of public, but Supervisor Collins is with us tonight. Donnell, you want to say anything? We had a little conversation earlier. I wanted to bring that up.
I'll let you bring that up. I'm here to say Happy New Year to everyone. And whereas I sent a personal thanks to Chief Alessi over the holidays, I just wanted to extend the gratitude from the town of Chatham and all of its residents for these patrols that the village PD are doing out in our hamlets. It's really helping us with our speeding mitigation, because it's a serious problem, especially in North Chatham, Chatham Center, East Chatham, Old Chatham. So the presence during the week, during rush hour, has been fantastic, and I've received multiple compliments from my residents thanking us for having these extended patrols. So thank you, Chief, and thank you to the Village Board of Trustees.
And it goes right back to what we're going to talk about in a little while, but shared services. And I don't think anybody's in this by themselves anymore. We can't all share services and work together. There's a lot of opportunities out there. And when you build those walls and you draw those lines, it's not a good thing. And we've got a good relationship, and Joe with the town board, and he's kept us apprised of their details and stuff. It's all good stuff. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll move on to department reports. Aaron's not here. Do we have Aaron's report?
You do. 7 building permits issued and renewed, 1 zoning permit issued for historic review, 2 new complaints issued, 1 CO search, 3 certificate of compliance issued, and 1 reviewed and approved by the planning board, and 1 reviewed and tabled by the ZBA. COs are issued for places of occupancy and CCs for building and or zoning compliance verification. Permit construction inspections completed, 2 complaint inspections completed, 1 resolved, $1,158 in payments received for building permits, title searches, planning, and zoning board applications. And reports are attached.
Thank you, Sam. We'll go on to Chief Alessi.
All right. Start off crossing guards. So the 2 new crossing guards are doing well. We've gotten some positive feedback, additional positive feedback from the new crossing guards. What I'd like to start talking about with the board is possibly coming up with a working group or something to talk about Church Street and what it would be, what the board would be looking at or looking for in order to put a crossing guard back there. There is a lot of kids that cross at that Church Street. That is probably a more dangerous intersection than even the one on Woodbridge because of the speed. And the kids that are walking from the trailer park there, coming up the road, and depending on if they're on the wrong side of the road, they cross as well. Or they run over to Stewart's to get something before they go back to school. So, we're getting to the point where we've got a couple crossing guards now, seem to be motivated and stable. That may be something that we can entertain. So, I'd like to see if we can, outside the meeting, have a conversation so we can start looking at what the board would be looking for as like a threshold to possibly put a crossing guard back there. Obviously, there's a cost in salary. That's really the only cost. And then once it's there, we have to maintain it. So, there's some risk there as well.
Are the 2 new crossing guards willing to take on more hours?
Yes.
So you have 3 total right now?
Yes.
Could they cover that?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Calls for service are in my report. New police car should be here. It's out of the factory and it's at the first stage of upfitting. So it should be in the village by the end of the month is what I'm told. And then it's got to go down to Red Line for lights and everything like that.
Can I ask a question, Joe?
You can't drive it.
Sometimes they're not getting it right now, but the crossing guards. So we have 3, so do they have the schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, the 2 new ones are working 1 day a week. And then the senior crossing guards working 3 days a week.
Okay.
Yep.
Just curious, thanks.
Yeah, and I published them a schedule, which basically is the same thing, you know, they're set, their days are set, and they work them, so.
Okay, thanks.
New patrol car should be here, hopefully be in service and ready by the end of February. Training coming up, so we have our first in-person training for 2025 will be in February. That covers our policies and stuff like that. And then in March, we have CPR, so like I said in a previous meeting, if anyone wants CPR, please let me know, and we can work out dates. If you can't make it to the one with the officers, we can do a one-on-one test as well. I know some of the clerk's office would like it, if there's anyone else.
Let's make sure Joe upstairs is the court if they want to take part of that.
Yep. And then as from a request as well, I'll be doing Narcan training with the clerk's office as well, and anyone else who would like it. I did it downstairs for the food pantry last month. Woodbridge, we have a resolution for that. Vehicle maintenance, just want to bring it to their attention. I know you guys signed invoices, but we had a maintenance issue with the front end of 171 that was discovered while I was down getting a oil change. It was rather pricey, but you know, it's the cost of doing business. Just wanted to point that out because that was a higher than expected cost there. I do have the money in my budget to cover it. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but basically those Dodge Chargers, the front end rack is problematic.
Which one are we kicking out? 171 or 173?
173. Yeah, this is the 2019 car. Yeah.
And you, Joe, you did call me on that.
Yes, yeah. And the last thing I want to talk about is hostile vehicle barriers. So in light of the issues that has gone on over New Year's, and in talking with the mayor, I started looking at what it would cost us to purchase our own, because I think that the states that were being loaned will become harder and harder to get, because at this point, anyone doing a street event is crazy if they don't put up some type of barrier. So looking at getting our own, because we do so many events that close down portions of the street. So I've started to get pricing. They are not cheap. A trailer of 8 is somewhere around $100,000. In that process, I've also already applied for some grant money from DCJS. I'm hoping that the state may have some funds left over as they reach the end of their fiscal year here, that maybe I can slip in and get them to cover something of that. And then working with our local agencies, you know, maybe partnering with Hudson PD if they would be interested, or the fairgrounds if they would be interested, to try to offset that cost to the village. Because obviously everyone needs them, and maybe even the county as well. You know, one of the things, you know, is just making sure that we have sets that are available that we can use.
Can we approach the other, like, towns in the area also and talk to them, because they must...
The ones that do events, yep. As we get to that point, basically what I'm trying to do is if I can get the state to cover most of it, then that changes how much we need to come up with from other municipalities, or, you know, shared services kind of conversation.
Being part of the security and affair, Joe's heading that up now. Eric Barnes, myself, and Robin Bendiger does the security for the fair. We've traveled the state doing security programs. We're one of the first ones in the state to use Homeland Security, New York State Homeland Security barriers, and off of that, the village has been using them also, but they're limited in the number. And now with this new world we live in, the governor might say, we want them over Labor Day. The governor might say, I want them in Syracuse. We don't have any pull. Whereas if we have our own, we can trade them around. And I'm looking at, ask Joe to look at this public-private partnership where maybe the fair will purchase part of this. We'll purchase a part of this. And like you said, Hudson Peak, you know, the towns don't, I won't say the towns, they have festivals, but it's more the villages, the city. So, and there might be some grant money out there. So so let's do our own thing.
Yeah.
We're not at the beck and call of the states.
Yeah. And the last thing, I just want to remind the public, don't feed wildlife. It just invites more issues. So yes, feeding that raccoon because it looks hungry is great, but it just creates issues long-term, so please don't feed wildlife. And that's all I have. You have my numbers and stuff that were attached.
Any questions for Joe?
Did we put that in the newsletter that we send out quarterly? About
What's that?
feeding animals? Can we put something like that?
We have, we can do it again. We've done it
We
before.
have,
We can do it
we
again.
had a big issue with the deer, but we can do that. And the bear. Today happened to be raccoon day because there's a stray raccoon around, it's got the whole world flipped upside down.
Oh, I got a message about that today.
Actually, it's in your yard, Melanie, so. I just want to add something to Joe's report. I received some texts and calls in the middle of the night regarding homeless, people that appear to be homeless and or in need of help. And I just sent it right back over to Joe. I'm not going to talk about individuals or anything, but I can tell you that the police department is very tuned into this, and maybe you just want to, some of the things you do when you catch a call like that.
Yeah, so we offer services if we do get someone that is homeless or down on their luck. Recently we had one individual that was brought to our attention. We had actually known about it and offered services. We re-offered services, and we've helped connect them to services. Obviously, some of the bureaucracy in some of that is difficult, but we've, we continue to work with anyone that's going on. So, if you hear from your constituents that they know of somebody, the more information they can give us, we can gladly have that, conversation with them, wherever they need to have it, so that we can get them help if they need help or if they want help. And some people accept it and some people don't.
I literally caught a text. Going to bed. I'm in bed. Looked at it, sent it to Joe, within 3 minutes, I sent it back to this person and said, we're on it. And they made contact that evening. They followed up the next day. It's things that you don't see. And it's out there, we know it's out there, more prevalent in the bigger cities and bigger areas, but we want to capture that as quick as we can, and they're doing a great job. Chief, right out.
December was a pretty, I won't say quiet, but it wasn't all that busy for us either. We did 10 alarms, 1 AAPI of our own, 2 alarm activations. We went mutual aid to Ghent for an AAPI with entrapment, mutual aid to Ghent for a chimney fire, mutual aid to Kinderhook for 2 structure fires, a structure fire of our own and 2 vehicle fires of our own. The mileage for all of our vehicles are there. We did one drill for the month, and it's the same every year. The captains put on a dinner for the members and their families to give back the appreciation of all the guys that supported them throughout the year. And that's the only drill we do the month of December because it's busy for us with other things. Santa came back to town and had a pancake dinner with families and kids, and they served over 300 people pancakes in like a 3-hour period. It was pretty busy. Our next set of drills would be all of our mandatory stuff, bloodborne pathogens, hazmat, and our right to know stuff and our sexual harassment. The guys will be working on that at the end of January and February. The 3 chiefs have started looking over our budget this year to start working on next year's budget to where we are, and some things that we still need to get in before this year's budget is over. 5851, the ladder truck, went to the shop. Last week it was there all week. Got chassis service, pump test, aero service, and aero inspection done by us. And end of February, beginning of March, the company that certifies the ladder will be here to do that. he comes right here to the station and does it in our parking lot. I don't have a definite date, but I know it's gonna be end of February, beginning of March. The ladder truck will go back to the shop. We're waiting for rear drums, brake drums to come in. The truck's a 2011, it's got a couple cracks in the brake shoes, so I wanna get them off and get those new and the drums replaced. When they come in, it'll be out of service for a day. I'll run it up, do it, and then bring it back that same night. 5842 is in the shop. I took it to work with me this morning. It'll probably come home Thursday. That's getting everything as well. Pump service, pump test, chassis service, generator service. That truck will be going through from top to bottom. That's the newest truck we own. So, I never realized it until today when I actually got under it and thought about it. We never had that truck undercoated, so towards the end of our budget this year, we may try to squeeze that in. If not, next year we'll put it in the budget to get it undercoated so that lasts us 30 years, like it should. MES is the company that takes care of our air packs. They should be here. They called and set a date and then they canceled it, but we're still on the list to come get all of our new air packs fit tested. They do that once a year for us to make sure they're in good working order. That's it.
Any questions for Chief? Hearing none? Thank you, Paul. Go on to DPW. I don't know, Karen, do you have the report? Or, Phil signed up the safe notice.
Does somebody want it?
As we're saying, what? Yeah. It was late this afternoon, or this afternoon.
The Christmas trees are being picked up on Mondays and Fridays through the month of January. All equipment's receiving its annual preventative maintenance. In addition, we sandblasted some rust that was beginning to accumulate on the skid steer and repainted it as well and installed new tires. Winter weather is pretty mild, so today we're still working off of last year's salt and sand stockpile and taking down Christmas lights. I'm just kidding. We went around and did some cold patching. Received notice from New York State that we have $12,000 left on the table to use on Austerlitz Street from a project that took place in 2006. I started working here in 2007, so I was not aware we had this money available. I'm looking into possibly top coating a portion of Austerlitz Street this year, as the money can only be used for highway surfacing and drainage. Work left on Jones. We still have some blacktop and shoulder work left to do on Jones Avenue. We just ran out of time. Water and sewer. Water break on Palmer Street. The water leak was caused from a pinhole from an old flare fitting, which is copper. When copper is flared, it is done so by being stretched, which makes copper thinner and prone to a fail. Water leak again by the bridge. The leak was caused yet again by pinholes in copper. Unlike on Thomas Street, these holes were caused by improper backfilling from when the line was installed probably 40 years ago. Water main break, Camp Hill Village, with 8-inch main across from the entrance of Camp Hill again was caused by a hole rusting through a pipe. The pipe that feeds Ghent is 8 inches ductile iron, which was installed in the late 60s. Ductile is a steel iron alloy, and even though it's stronger in every way over cast iron, still is prone to rusting. Excuse me. And we are finding out ductile iron is not lasting as long in the ground as many engineers thought it would. Hudson Avenue. We will have some work to complete this spring, including replacing a main valve for Coleman Street and digging up and capping the old main. We will also pour new sidewalk sections and reinstall park benches. Boy, we didn't get one of these from him for a long time. This is long. He's very busy. Secondary water source test results for Shore Road were not what we were hoping for. I'm meeting with engineers from Labella this week to discuss other options. Sewer plant, still no update on the UV project. Some of the actuators were replaced, but they were left without motors to turn them. So we're currently have been operating them in a manual mode for the past month. This isn't a big deal considering we're not switching tanks around as often in the winter time. All samples and reports are up to date and in compliance. Gallons for December, total gallons from the wells,
A lot.
a lot. And total gallons received wastewater facility, a lot, 4 million, first was 11 million, 4 million. And the mileage and hours are all here too. That's a lot, that's good.
Well, you can't tell a lie. I had talking this morning. I said, well, by the way, so anyhow.
Still me.
You gotta go. Let me go back to the water leaks. They go out and check the charts every day on water usage, and we were up around 450,000 gallons a day. They knew we had issues. Unfortunately, the way the system is, we know we have an issue, but we don't know where it is until it shows itself. And as they're driving down to fix the water leak that they knew they had by the bridge in Ghent, they go by Campfield Village and the water's coming out of the ground like a geyser. So they're going to fix a service line when they drive by a water main leak at the same time. So we're doing 450,000 gallons. We're back down under 300,000. We should be around 250,000 gallons. We know we have about 100,000 gallons we lose on a regular basis. If you start losing 200,000 gallons a day, unfortunately, you don't know where it is until it shows up. So kudos to them. It's not a good time of year to have these things happen, but they fixed 2 water leaks in one day. They only expected to do 1. All right, I need a motion to approve minutes of December 9th, 2024.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor.
Aye.
Need a motion to approve the December 2024 budget actuals. Motion.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor.
Aye.
Under new business, resolution 1 of 2025 to authorize the DPW to hold the annual bulk trash drop-off days during the week of May 12th and 15th of 2025. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
and it's all in favor.
Aye.
Resolution 2 to authorize the Toad Strangler 2025 bike race to be held in the village on Sunday, April 13, 2025, pending receipt of the signed contract certificate of insurance. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Let me just expand on that. We met with our insurance carrier today. Ken was here, and we opened a lot of eyes. I didn't bring you in on this because I'm going to bring you up to speed. We talked to Andy Ruiz, who's the promoter for both this and gravel grinder. They do a great job. We're talking contracts and stuff. We're going to have everything in order. After tonight, we'll give Andy a call. He can go ahead and move things. We've been in touch. Desiree sent emails back and forth. Ken's had an opportunity, or will have an opportunity to look at the very basic contract. The NYMER's happy with that. They also have waivers that are signed by everybody that registers, which is huge. So we're in a good spot with that. Any questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right.
Resolution 3 to approve a one-time sewer relief request submitted by Louis Metzner, 49 Church Street, account 600-1, an amount of $567.85 due to a leak in a crawl space, and there was photo evidence provided. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 4 to appoint Thad Hashberger as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals effective immediately. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Sam, you just want to expand on that?
Stephen interviewed him on Friday thoroughly and liked his enthusiasm, his interest in becoming involved in the village. He is a therapist by trade, so he's a very sedate fellow. And I was present at the meeting and informed him sort of what his task would be and that sort of thing. Stephen liked what he saw and recommended him. He's ready to go. he knows he needs to start training ASAP.
Thanks for anyone.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 5, to authorize emergency repair of the Tracy Memorial Village heating system completed by Bradley Plumbing according to estimate 4056-110-25, the amount of $37,475.67, with a 50% deposit required to order the equipment set the start date. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
A second.
Second.
And I got to tell you, I'm here every day, Christmas, flushing the system, it's been a nightmare. They came in and did it top to bottom, unlike some of the previous contractors we had who probably didn't want to do the job, just made it work and left. The whole system probably wasn't done properly when it was put in however many years ago. They gave us a comprehensive list and I want to develop a relationship so we have a contractor that's familiar with our system. Every time they come in here, every technician comes here, they know what they're dealing with. They've been very, very receptive. We've made numerous calls to them in off hours and they've been here. It's a lot of money, but it's awful cold in here too.
You gonna
So-
tell them about tonight? Was it broken tonight too?
Yeah, so I go downstairs in the men's room and there was more running water down there than me. Just put it this way, I'm like, so I go over and there's water coming out of, looks like a valve or something. It stopped while I was there, but we'll be calling them tomorrow. I'm not sure when they're gonna get to this. They were talking, doing it in 2 phases because it's winter time. They have to shut the system down. They're gonna do part of it one day and part of it the next. Have to work around the weather. We'll see what that transpires. There's a bucket under it right now.
Are they local?
Yes, I think they're Colbeck area.
I've had them, they're good actually.
They're very, very responsive.
That's great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 6, to establish a drop-off zone at 32 Woodbridge Avenue from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on school days, southbound side, near the American Legion existing crosswalk. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Joe, you want to explain that, please?
Yep, same as we talked about last month. We have that constant issue of parents dropping their kids off in the middle of the street. So the best case scenario is what we came up with was using that section in front of American Legion as a drop-off zone, 1, because there is little traffic there during the day, because the American Legion is typically closed. And 2, it's close enough to the crosswalk that the kids, they get dropped off, can immediately cross, rather than, if we do it down by the church, they're gonna run across the road anyway. So that's what I recommended, was we do it right there and see how it works out. We can always reassess, but there needs to be something on that side of the road because there isn't anything at this point.
Beyond just some signage and hash marks or whatever we might do we need to have a public hearing on code, local law, anything like that? I mean, are we gonna ticket people if they're parked there?
I wasn't planning on
I
taking
didn't think so.
people there.
So if we just do a soft,
Yeah.
Do you know how the school's communicating that to families?
They said they will do all their media that they can. Superintendent said that whatever they need to push, whether it's paper, whether it's digital, whether it's Facebook, they will push all of that when we're ready for it.
Will that be before the end of this year, you think?
I believe so. I think the biggest thing is going to be getting signage and possibly some type of markings, which
Yeah,
in the
markings.
cold weather is
we
an
won't do
issue.
that till spring,
Yeah.
but we could do some signage.
Yeah, so maybe some signage, and then we just probably need to grab a little bit of black paint and just cover up maybe some of the line markings that are there, but other than that.
And you put a couple extra officers on in the morning, you're implementing it.
Yeah, we've been sitting down there, Officer Blue's been doing some school details in the morning and, re-educating parents about, safety around the school zone.
Great, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, items for discussion, the one was New York State DOT. This stems back from 2006. I think Trish got a call, it's like, hey, you got $12,000 floating around here, what do you wanna do? It's like, what? 20 years ago? And like, we don't wanna do is say, we don't want it. We don't have any idea what the project was back then, nobody was around then, but apparently this $12,000 is left on the table, and they said, you can have it. So we reached out to Phil, and he's trying to work some magic. It's not gonna do a lot, but if we take the $12,000 in conjunction with some CHIPS money in next year's budget, we can do some resurfacing. It has to be done in that area. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's what we're talking about. So,
That's all we're allowed to use it for, is paving and.
yeah, paving and drainage, and the drainage is all done.
No sidewalks?
But thanks for asking. Because that's a $100,000 project.
It's too bad that drainage challenge is right there on Austerlitz, right at high.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's this time of year you really notice it. So that's what it's still a work in progress. FYI, the KISS 2025 dates, you can see them there. It's very popular, and we weren't part of that years ago. It was just the towns, and I think you reached out to Holly, and Des and Sam can tell you, and Trish, when people come in here, they're coming in here with suitcases full of stuff. It's very popular, the paper shredding. Lead service line project. Sam, you just want to touch us up about how many?
So as of tonight, we have 115 respondents. I'm sure everybody who lives here has done theirs, right?
Yes.
That's my husband's job, not mine.
Yeah, the response has been pretty good. We initially just released it, sent out an email and then put it online. We had a certain number of respondents, and then we did a mailer to everybody in the village with a link. Instructions to go to the website and follow a link to fill out a 6-question survey. As of tonight, we have about 115 respondents, which, we have 850 accounts. So I asked Phil what the target number he'd feel comfortable with, and he said about 20%, so we're getting relatively close.
Did he have any idea what area might have lead pipes?
What?
Where Phil?
Area?
Yeah, what area?
It's more of an age of the home thing. So you're looking at between 1940s and 1960s, right around there. So when I asked Phil in the beginning his estimation how many people would have lead pipes, I expected him to say something like 5%. He said 10 people, just based on, number one, his knowledge of seeing a lot of pipes in this town for a long time. Number two, just based on the age of homes in the area. So right now, I think we have 1 confirmed out of 115. So the next steps will be, once we hit that target number of 20%, then Phil has some things to fill out for the state, quite a bit, and we're going to help him with that. And then I don't know what happens after.
Does Phil need to go over there to the house and verify that they actually have lead?
So what we're doing is we're having anyone who thinks they have lead, Phil wants to follow up on. We're having people provide a photograph that they're emailing to me, and then I am printing out and saving. And I would say probably 95% of the people who've done the survey have also included a photo. Some folks in the village are older and they're having some issues with doing the survey online or providing a photo. Some people don't have a smartphone or don't have somebody who come over. And in some of these cases, people who had challenges performing the test, Phil has offered to go and help them out. And so has the mayor, actually.
And Sam.
But, so that's, I expect that we'll probably hit that number within the next couple of weeks, because people are still getting 10, 20 a week, 30 a week, so.
I gotta tell you, this started way back in the spring. We didn't do it, we sat on it, we do it in October. We got a notice from the Department of Health, State, FYI, I got 21 days to do this. So we threw a program together, and thanks for our office peeps and working with Phil. And we talked to DOH, State, and they're more than happy to extend it. It's strictly an inventory. If it's in your house, it's your problem, it's not ours. EPA's conducting, this is a nationwide thing, and I've got to believe this is the first step in the inventory to see how much is out there. At some point, there'll be money available to City of Troy's in the middle of it right now. Huge deal where the federal government's giving them money. Everything they have is lead. I can't say everything. A lot of what they have is lead, and they're mitigating it. But I can only speculate, and I don't want to go there. Some of the people that have reached out to Sam and Des and said, what are you going to do about it? We're not responsible from the curb stop to your house, but we're responsible for the EPA or the State Department of Health to do this inventory. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but that's what we're doing. So there's no commitment on our part at this time. All right, county transportation. I'm glad that Donnell's here. There's been a talk about establishing a bus route from the City of Hudson to Chatham and back to the City of Hudson. Gets a little complicated. With the goal of expanding that between the village of Chatham and New Lebanon, so they go through East Chatham, Canaan, and New Lebanon. That's a whole other bear. There's been some money allocated through the state, through our senator and our assembly member to do this study. One of the supervisors of the City of Hudson is chairing this. Donnell's been deeply involved in it. Desiree and I went to a meeting a week or two ago down at the county supervisor's office to start kicking this off. They're looking at potentially June-ish, having something. Many of the, there's a lot of dynamics here, scheduling, whatever. They're looking at hitting like High Point, Chatham Manor, the depot, 2 or 3 stops to pick people up 2 or 3 times a day, to and from. So it's still a work in progress. There's no commitment on our part other than, we're trying to champion this, and I made a point, Desiree and I going down there, we're all in. We did a survey, the county did a survey, we pushed it out to Manor and High Point and the Payne Foundation, and we had some responses, and they were all positive. There's many of these people who do not have the ability to go to DSS, go to the dentist, go to Walmart's, so these things will be available. And Donna, you've been deeply involved in this, you just want to give a quick overview.
Yeah, it's going to tie in with the Hudson shopping shuttle. Like the mayor said, there's going to be a couple runs down there, 9 to 2. They're looking at 2 days a week as far as the pilot program. We are looking at extended hours because of the results of the survey, but when you get to those extended hours, the price increase dramatically. Therefore, the funding would be exhausted much more quickly. So we are looking, there's a discrepancy with the state fiscal year and the county and town's fiscal year. So we're going to have to probably reapply for the grant funding, even though we've already been promised that it was $100,000. I think with some backup from Senator Hinchy, as the mayor mentioned. Assemblywoman Barrett spearheaded this. So we're looking at that first part, and then we're trying to look at county funding, as he said, to extrapolate that into New Lebanon. Try to keep the New Lebanon people and their shopping and sales tax money within Columbia County. As well as availing them of all the different services along the way. So, as the mayor said, hopefully we'll have something together and we'll have our run starting in the beginning of the summer. We look forward to, encouraging ridership from multiple angles.
It's anything we can do along that line, and I think things are going to start looking really good. I sent something out around New Year's about the Shaker Museums putting a shovel on the ground in the spring and Cradle Theaters, really bumping things up. We're going to talk about the Harlem Valley Rail Trail in a minute, but it's not just going to DSS. It might be somebody who wants to go for lunch down in Hudson, or somebody in Hudson wants to come to the village and take a movie in and grab a burger at the brew. Anytime we can get some transit, mass transit, and our seniors, it's very important for our seniors. We have a obviously large senior community, and I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I took Desiree down because I wanted her to see how that all worked, and they found out she was a bus driver, so she's going to work for that. Any questions on that?
Will the riders have to pay, or is it free service?
It's going to start off as a pilot program, so, like the mayor said, there's a number of ambulatory communities within this village. We're going to hit them first and see how that goes.
How much money do you have? 6 months worth, a year's worth, or? 3 months?
If we do the narrower window of 9 to 2, we should be able to carry that for 2 years.
Nice.
Survey results, there are a number of people out there that wanted the later hours,
Right.
but that might even involve a different busing company than the one that we contract with at the lower rate. So it's like we said, all about, kind of stretching out what we've been endowed, encouraging and facilitating ridership so that popularity is observed and can, hopefully we'll receive continued funding with that.
I just think it's such a great idea.
It
It
is.
really is
It
so
is.
needed.
Yes.
Before, pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
You guys building it?
Yes, we are. Contractors are very busy. I don't know if you want to wait for an agenda item, but the one thing we were looking at as we go through the grant disbursement process is our rec director and myself met with someone who suggested something we hadn't thought of, and it's an all-access, all-abilities court, which is wider alleys, and we may try to integrate that, which kind of changes the design, but it's ADA compliant, and so that might actually change the whole layout of the court. But yes, we want to get that built, believe me.
2 courts, 1 court?
It started out as 3, all the same size. However, with this additional measure, it may go down to 2.
Okay.
And of course, within just a couple of years of us starting this application, the price per square foot has risen dramatically. So, but no, it's an avid group of people, as you guys well know, as you went through your issues with taping the lines and everything. So we're earnestly trying to get this, ready to go.
Is it out to bid, or are you still waiting on bids, or what's the?
We went through state contract, which didn't really reduce or minimize the cost. So now we're going to just developers, like contractors who sub out asphalt or sub out, coating and things like that.
Okay.
All right, Harlem Valley Rail Trail status, they received a grant they were awaiting back in December, so it's a go. They look at putting a shuttle in Hudson Avenue around late spring, it has to go to bid, the specs are pretty well done. A couple highlights on that is they're working with Phil. Phil's got to get them some information regarding sewer and water lines. Part of this is they look at planting around 50 trees on Hudson Avenue. 50 trees on Hudson Avenue.
Sweet.
Of various kinds, and they're very cognizant of power lines and water and sewer, so we're trying to target those areas. We've met with them within the last month or so. Once it goes to bid and once the construction starts, it should be over within like 6 weeks. It's a very simple process in our area. And from there, it'll go from the village line to the Bartlett House. That's a little more involved. But our portion of it's going to get done first. So that's a go. The next item is UV disinfection project. You heard that from Phil's report, so we're going to cross that off. Second, water source. We've been working with Labella's. Something that's popped up where we have an opportunity possibly in another area just south of the village behind Price Chopper. Francis Greenberger owns a bunch of property back there. It's 120 acres. I've had a conversation with his attorney. We've been given permission to go back there, survey the scene. Our hydrologist picked 3 sites there. Phil's going to meet with him on Friday. We'll go out and look at those 3 sites with the potential of punching a few holes there, doing a water sample. If the water comes back good, we'll pursue it a little bit further. But this may be something that's going to be very positive for the village. I mean, we're going to do a second water source, but wherever it ended up, cost, acquiring land, it's all part of that. This is maybe a private-public partnership, if you will. Very early. Stay tuned. County waste collection, we've had it's been an ongoing problem where sales of garbage stickers seem to be going down. Of course, the cost of trash removal is skyrocketing. We're pretty solid year to year, $40,000 revenue. stickers, 35, 40, and it's not going up. What we're finding is people are to put it in the recycling container and not put stickers on it. They're getting a free ride. We reached out to County Waste. We asked that the drivers spend the next 2 weeks really looking at things, and if there's not a sticker on the bag, don't pick it up. Just leave it there. There was a few last week. See if we can't get the message across. We're gonna have to sit down and have a real long conversation as we go into the next budget year, is how we're gonna handle this. We're going from $100,000 to $130,000 on trash removal, and our revenues for stickers are constant, steady, 30,000. It was never meant to be self-sustaining, or the stickers was to offset it, but it's starting to cost us some serious money. And same thing in Malaysia, same thing in Canada. And we put it out to bid, and there's generally just one contractor that bids on it, and they have a captive audience, and there's different thoughts. We just do away with it. People can take it to the transfer station, hire your own contractors, which some people do, or up the cost of the stickers, or a different process. But we're not going to discuss that tonight, because that's going to take some time.
Or could we also add in like our water sewer and just another fee in there?
Some
for trash?
communities do, they do, yes, that's a possibility, so we'll talk about it. Just wanted to bring it up. Anybody's willing or wants to go to NICOM, you have to get registered ASAP. I know some people have in the past. Gazebo white lights, Karen, but let's put a fork in it. Sorry.
That was such a good idea.
The next one, lighting in the plaza.
That was such a good idea.
Karen, lighting in the plaza.
So, the gazebo, maybe for next year, I thought we just kept the white lights up, not the colored lights, but it's just for safety. It was just amazing how bright it was. I know we've had some problems there in the past, but they took them down today. The lighting in the plaza, I've noticed by where the karate, there's maybe 6 different lights up there on poles in the plaza where drink is. It just so happens the one right in front of the karate has been out for I don't know how long, and all those kids are running back and forth, and yeah, it's more in the spring and the summer, but it's really a safety issue. So I just was wondering who's responsible for that, and I think Des already reached out.
It's property management.
The property management.
You reached out to them?
Yeah, and they responded and said that they're waiting for a proposal right now, because they're hoping to swap out the lights.
For LEDs, probably.
You'd say, but
And it would have been like, if there's 6 of them, even if it wasn't that particular one, it's just probably of all 6, the worst one to be out.
Is that,
Thank you for reaching out to them.
so you want to document that you made the phone call?
oh, it's all in email.
Yeah, and I think what we can do is we can go through Aaron, code enforcement officer. It's a management company, and we've had some challenges with other issues down there. And it's cost of doing business, but we are following up on it.
Thanks.
Continued discussion, I'm going to spend a lot of time, we talked drop off. Joe, we'll get what we're working on Woodbridge Avenue, and we're looking at an area, Park Road, Morse Memorial. I gotta tell you, it's crazy. I stopped for kids yesterday. Mom sits in the car and waves her hand to me to stop as she's waving the kids across the street. It's like, Mom, can you get out of the car? Walk your kids across the street. But being who I am, I just, whatever.
And the kids over? Only kidding.
That's a serious situation.
I know.
And Morse is doing a great job. It's a big drawing after them. The kids stream in there. I guess they're doing after school treats, and the food pantry's been helping them bring in treats and stuff. So we need to look at it.
Yeah, my biggest challenge is I'm gonna strip parking from the business district, which we already know is
It's gonna be a problem.
an issue, and yeah, so,
We'll have to finesse that.
because it really needs to be done on both sides of the street, which means you're gonna be taking 3-4 spots on each side of the street when we're looking for parking spots already, so. Yeah, so I didn't do anything over the holidays, but now that Woodbridge is moving forward, I'll focus back on the park route.
Thank you. The last thing, unless anybody's got anything else, is Donnell and I, he just shot me an email earlier about a shared services opportunity, and if you want to just bring that up.
Yeah, yearly, the New York State has a local government efficiency grant funding. They favor shared services and intermunicipal cooperation. We are looking at our highway garage to have an indoor wash bay. Speaking of rust and undercoating, we really need to increase the longevity of our vehicles because, I mean, we're pricing out a dump truck now that's going to be $325,000 to $375,000 upfitted with plows. So we want to make sure we get all that salt off as soon as we can with an indoor wash bay. With that fuel oil water separator, we'll still need to truck that somewhere. So I approached the mayor about if we can use the village treatment plant, and the village can use our wash bay if they have equipment they want to hit in the wintertime, come up in our potentially heated wash bay. I think that would be a good shared service and a good shared service to bring in front of the state for funding. So I reached out to the mayor with a resolution I'm going to bring in front of my board on Thursday. It's a 90-10 match. The local match is 10%. I'm not asking the village for money, although the mayor said, you know, he's always willing to cooperate. But right now, we're looking at asking for 100. But I have a conversation with our engineer tomorrow. We might be asking the state for more than that. So we'll see what happens. But I appreciate anything that we can do together, and I think the state will too.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity because we do not have a wash bay, and what we're doing is not the correct way of doing it. They do wash. We're washing on the ground out front, and all the runoffs going in wherever it goes. And being on a throughway, having a wash bay with a boil water separator is all very important stuff. Heat it, you're inside, you know, guys can take one of our trucks over there in the afternoon and, you know, it's a little quiet and make an appointment, go in and wash them and really do a good job of washing them. And then if in fact we have to process, and I'm not sure if we can, that's a process we'll have to talk to the DOH or DEC, you know, how that works, putting that into our system, you know, but it's worth a look, I think. And I offered to Donnell, if it's a 90-10, and we split 5 with them, you know, we can have that discussion going forward. But he's asking for 100,000, that'd be what, 5,000 on our part. You know, any of those types of agreements, you move to the top of the list if you do shared services stuff. You're trying to do it on your own, yeah, we'll get to you. But when they see where you're multiple agencies or whatever are using one source, they're more apt to give you that funding. But, you know, again, I want to partner with the towns. It's a good opportunity. Any other questions? Any other comments? We have to go to an executive session. We're none. Okay, can I get a motion to go to executive session?
Motion.
And a second? All right. Thank you. We'll go to executive session.